I came to this country in the early 1990s, and because my late father, Professor Qari Asim Muhammad, he was living inside the building of the mosque. Me and my brother, Qari Muhammad Qasim, we also lived inside the building of the mosque. So that was quite unusual as a teenager living in the building, which is considered as a house of Lord of the heavens and the earth. So as a result, at a very young age, I got involved in the activities of the mosque, because obviously when the children would come to read in the Holy Quran, I would also teach them, because I was already Hafiz when I came to this country. So I started teaching young people from a very early age, and sometimes I was only 2-3 years older than them. And that really made me realize that actually unfortunately the lack of knowledge of our faith, which is a peace-loving faith, which has resulted in us moving away from our faith. What's happened is a lot of cultural baggage. And so from very early age, I realized that we need to get rid of some of the cultural baggage that holds us back. Because Islam is flexible. Islam allows us to prosper in this world as well as in the hereafter. But sometimes because of our own cultural traditions, we've taken Islam to be a very narrow-minded religion. So I started teaching in the mosque when I will come back from school. So I started going, I went to a very local school, City of Leeds school, and it wasn't a private school, it was an ordinary school. It's very interesting that rather than actually, I used to be at a very early age, if people are bullied at break times and I will intervene, and I will actually try to say, look, why are we bullying someone, picking on someone because he or she can't answer back, or he or she cannot actually physically counteract. And as in those days, but also I developed relationships with people of other faiths and no faiths, just young people trying to do homework. Now, I realized that actually it was a kind of macho, we wanted to give a macho image to other people by saying we haven't done homework. It was something that's perhaps in a very ingrained in our young people, that when they come back from school, they don't want to do any homework. They don't want to touch their books because it's seen as perhaps you're softy because you're doing work. Whereas you cannot succeed unless you actually do the homework. So in those days, I didn't know any English when I came from Pakistan. Very little English. I could only say this is the door. Go outside, come inside. Only very few words. So not only I was handicapped in the sense I didn't know any English. At the same time, on top of that, I had to do homework. So what do? You obviously try your best, but at the same time, you seek help. You seek help from people who can give you that kind of guidance. So it was like I used to teach people to recite the Holy Quran, and I would ask them to help me in my homework. And not all the time, but I'm just giving an example in terms of how we can, complement each other. Having come from abroad, I'd only been here for 3 to 4 years. When I passed my GCSEs, and if you analyze our current situation, the people born here, people who've lived here, people who've gone to school from a nursery to year 16 and to the age of 16, unfortunately, they fail in the GCSE exams. That's because our heart isn't in it. It's not that we can't speak the language, or we can't. If someone who couldn't even speak the language, they can pass exams, that means we can all do it. What we need to do is actually realize that it's important for us in order to succeed in this world, in order to have flashy cars, in order to be rolling in money, which is not prohibited as long as it's lawful. You need to start somewhere, and the way to do it is to actually succeed in our what we call secular education. I was interested in law, and as a result, I chose A-levels, law A-levels. In those days, now obviously you have AS levels. In those days, you had A-levels. And then, politics and law go hand in hand because it's politicians who legislate, if you like. So at the same time, I wanted to learn about British history because I was a comfortable British citizen, and as a result, I wanted to know about British history, and politics is that a subject that tells you about British history. But at the same time, I wanted to learn about the English culture as well. The literature is something that tells you about a culture as to where it's come from. While I was in all of those places, in Cambridge and Norwich, I got involved in Muslim activities. For instance, in Cambridge, I used to lead Friday prayers. when Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad, Professor Tim Winter, who's one of the the most authentic scholars, British-born scholars, if you like, and it was very challenging to actually, if people are used to the most authentic voice in Britain, to listen to his sermons actually when he's not around and I'm delivering Friday sermons. And the congregation used to be a very mixed congregation. That you had kind of Arab Muslims, you had Bangladeshi Muslims, you had new Muslims, and what that explains, so it's like the reason why I'm mentioning these things is like when you are exposed to different environment, what that should do, it should help you reflect in yourself. Now in Britain, it's a great opportunity for British Muslims to actually have adopt new culture, which doesn't mean that we dilute our culture or dilute Islamic teachings. What it means that Islam is flexible, is a natural religion, is a faith that's going to go on till the Day of Judgment, and after the Day of Judgment, it has to have that flexibility. So as a result, we should adopt, we should adopt the local customs that don't contradict Islamic tradition. By the way, I'm a commercial property lawyer, which is about facilitating people's commercial property. And also then I specialize in Islamic finance, and I'll come on to that. But so it's a huge step by the community to select me to lead them, but also from my point of view, that actually how is it going to work? That I'm going to be doing my daily kind of work at the same time leading prayers. And as far as I know, I'm the only Imam in the country that leads daily prayers as well as does full-time job.
The mosque leader, Qari Asim, who has worked tirelessly to build bridges between communities in Leeds since the 7/7 terror attacks. And as a result of the kind of in-depth work that is being engaged in, that work has been actually recognized by the Leeds Metropolitan University. They have awarded him an honorary doctorate of laws.
It was 7/7. Leeds, is in the limelight. The international media has pounced on us. I was giving interviews left, right, center every day, talking about how is it happened. It was a shock to our community, and then it made me think that we really need to be proactive. We British Muslims need to tell people that those who have hijacked Islam, they have nothing to do with Islam. Muslims are very confident in their faith and also very comfortable being British Muslims. So we needed to give a new identity. One of the things that we did, we opened the doors of the mosque. And we were UK's model mosque. We allowed anyone and everyone to come into our mosque, observe our prayers, so that you realize they are not bomb-making factories. Here we call people to serve God and also to serve human beings. And so I got involved in lots of interfaith activities, a lot of intra-faith activities, bringing Muslims together, inter-community activities, and I'd been doing it genuinely from 2005 until until this day. So we were, and I was trying to take Islam to a different, if you like, British Muslim identity to a different level. So we should talk about environmental crisis. We should talk about, economic crisis. Where we can genuinely say that Islam can make a difference to people's lives. And I was genuinely humbled and honoured to have awarded an MBE, and it was a recognition of the fact, I think that the fact that the community, the Leeds community and the Muslim community of Yorkshire has really stepped up to the mark. They've gone to a different level where they are confident being Muslim, but are very comfortable in contributing to the societies in which we live in.